What's up, college football fans, quarterback fans? Welcome to another QB Spotlight video. In this video, we're talking about Colorado quarterback Shedeur Sanders, what he needs to do or what Colorado's offense can potentially do to attack this Nebraska defense. So we're going to talk Nebraska defense a little bit and then talk about the different type of plays and the different maybe schemes that Colorado can have to have success against Nebraska's defense. This is your first time tuning in to the QB Spotlight channel. Sincerely, thank you for tuning in. There's a lot of great college football content channels out there, so we do thank you for choosing us to tune in. We're a place that we just do all things quarterbacks, right? We're a big quarterback hub, so we have quarterback breakdowns like this, so mini breakdowns with a little bit of film, and then we also have current and former quarterbacks that come on and talk about just life as a quarterback, right? So with that said, let's talk Shedeur Sanders. What did he do well against TCU? Well, the easy thing to say is everything. he was able to get rid of the ball quick. He was accurate, read the defense, did everything, right? You can find the recap video of the game against TCU and on our channel if you're interested in that. The easy kind of connotation, the easy breakdown, just be, hey, if Shedeur just does exactly what he did against TCU against Nebraska, then he'll be fine, right? And that's obvious, but I want to look into that in a bit more detail. I want to go into a bit more depth to look at what that actually means. How can he attack Nebraska? What did he do well against TCU that can carry over to Nebraska? So before we dive into what we think Sanders needs to do or how Sanders can attack Nebraska, let's talk about Nebraska's defense, because they played Minnesota last week, and Minnesota's passing game didn't look great, right? But it was still a Big Ten conference, so Minnesota still played a good competition. It wasn't like they were playing an FCS school and shut the quarterback down. So I still think it was impressive that they shut the quarterback down from Minnesota. I think the quarterback was 24-44 for under 200 yards. So yards per attempt, like 4.5. So yeah, a lot different offensive approach that Colorado has than Minnesota. But still, Nebraska's main defensive philosophy in that game was keep everything in front. They didn't get a ton of pass rush. They did have 3 sacks, but they only had 9 hurries in the quarterback. So it wasn't like the pass rush was over-consuming. The defensive backs just did a good job in coverage. They kept everything in front, and there were no big plays that gave up. So for perspective, they had 9 hurries according to PFF. Nebraska did, and UCLA was number 1 this week in pass rush, and they had 24 hurries. So just some context there, if you're unfamiliar with the statistic of hurries and kind of what's a good number, right? I think 9 was maybe middle of the package, average-ish, and 24 was the best one this week. Okay, enough of that. But yeah, so with that said, I think Nebraska probably is going to have a pretty good defense, and they did some really good things against Minnesota. So if you are Shedeur Sanders to the Colorado offense, how do you attack that? Well, I think one thing that Minnesota did do at times was they were able to attack the middle of the field at times. They didn't put up big numbers, but the majority of their yards came from some slot receivers, some tight ends. So I think there's maybe some potential for Colorado to attack middle of the field. You saw that Sanders had a ton of success middle of the field against TCU. We're going to watch one clip of Sanders against TCU attacking middle of the field at the end of the video, but you saw he had a ton of success against TCU. 410 yards, 410 yards of his 510 yards passing came inside the numbers. 3 passing touchdowns of his 4 came inside the numbers. So Sanders had a ton of success middle of the field inside the numbers, right? So I think that is a recipe to continue to do against this Nebraska defense. Another thing I think that Colorado has advantage of is just the matchups. I think Nebraska has some, like we talked about, they've got good talent, they got good defensive backs. Colorado has so many good weapons that they showcased on this past Saturday against TCU. I think they had 4 guys with over 100 yards receiving. I think there's always going to be a mismatch on the play. So it's just about finding that mismatch, right? Now, that doesn't necessarily mean the player against the defensive back. It means, okay, what route is called, what play is called, and what receiver or running back potentially for Colorado or tight end fits that play best, right? So I think you find the mismatch. There's always going to be a mismatch in every play, in my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong, but I do think there's always going to be a mismatch somewhere, right? So number 1, attack the middle of the field. You had a lot of success against TCU. Nebraska knows that. They're watching. You're going to have to make changes. I know that, but I still think you can attack the middle of the field. I think you find your mismatch. If you're Shedeur Sanders, you got a lot of weapons to throw to. So when you line up on the line of scrimmage, you find your mismatch. Then number 3, I think you use play action again, right? A few different reasons. One, it's Sean Lewis's offense. There's always going to be some form of play action or quick potential run or some screen, right? There's always going to be some form of play action in Sean Lewis's offense. But Sanders did such a good job last week. It was 14 of 15 against TCU in play action. So I think it's another good way you can attack Nebraska, using that play action, using that to your advantage. You get the ball out quick because of play action. You get some DBs that kind of creep in. You take your shots. You saw that against TCU. They took shots early against TCU. So I think you do that again if you're Shedeur Sanders. So we're going to watch a clip of Sanders attacking the middle of the field against TCU. I think he does a good job showcasing his ability to stand in the pocket, take a hit, and deliver a ball into a really tight window. I would imagine and guess that Nebraska, is going to have some good DBs and good coverage against Colorado's offense. So the fact that Sanders can fit the ball in these tight windows is only going to be beneficial for Colorado and for Shedeur Sanders. But before we get in there, let's just recap real quick. What's the overall takeaway for Sanders against Nebraska? Again, there's only one game out. There's limited film. There's some PFF grades. There's stats you can go from. So we could be completely wrong. We're just some people on YouTube talking about what we think are some good options. Maybe we're completely wrong. Maybe the offensive play calling room right now is talking about doing the exact opposite. So maybe I'm an idiot, maybe I'm wrong. But with that said, my overall takeaway just from doing the little breakdowns that we do, find the matchup. Every play is going to be a matchup. You want to find the matchup. Use the middle of the field again. There was some success that Minnesota had in the middle of the field against Nebraska, and Shedeur Sanders showed that he freaking dominated in the middle of the field type throws against TCU. Execute the play action again. If you can do all of that, I think you're in a really, really good position. And one more thing, just because Nebraska didn't get a ton of pressure on Minnesota in week 1 doesn't mean that there isn't potential for that to happen, right? So I think if you can execute in the play action, ball out quick, attack middle of the field, and just find your matchup, and I think that's a good way to keep pressure off of Shedeur Sanders. So with that said, enough of looking at my face. You're probably getting tired of it. We're going to watch just one play against TCU that showcases Sanders attacking the middle of the field. We'll break it down in a little bit of detail, and then we'll wrap this video up. But if you like this video, please like, subscribe, all that YouTube stuff. It really does help. Let's watch the video and we're in this thing. Here's the video. So here's one clip of Sanders from the game against TCU, the one we were kind of talking about in the beginning of the video. Just going to be a dig route. This was second and 14, just a dig route by Horn, I believe. But it shows the ability that Shedeur has attacking middle of the field with pressure in the face, with good coverage too that we're going to see, right? So we're going to see, I think they initially just bring 4, have an outside backer here, then they have kind of a delayed blitz. Pressure in his face, stands in the pocket, and delivers the ball middle of the field. Again, I think you can attack, I think Shedeur can attack wherever he wants, but I think the middle of the field could be a decent little option for Colorado against Nebraska. So I just wanted to showcase this one clip. So right here, boom, 3 come, right, 3 come, 4 come, right, regardless. We have that delayed blitz coming. Good job in the pocket. Yeah, 4 come, then you have that 5th one, delayed blitz. So right here, starting to throw the ball. He knows he's going to get hit, takes a shot, right, or at least gets hit, and delivers a ball. Really good coverage right there over the middle of the field. So I think the fact that Sanders is already so good at attacking the middle of the field, and there may be some options there against Nebraska, I think you could see these type of throws, right? Of course, we talked about play action. We talked about taking shots vertical. But I think the play action, middle of the field, may be a spot to attack Nebraska. Watch one more time. Boom, takes a shot. It's broadcast footage, like I said, so I do apologize. Takes the shot, delivers the ball. Not a lot of room for error. We talked about this on the film breakdown video after TCU. And even he said that, going up against Hunter, you're not going to have a lot of room for error in practice. That definitely translates to the game, right? So anyways, any college football fans, quarterback fans, let us know your thoughts below. What do you think Sanders needs to do against Nebraska? What do you think Nebraska needs to do defensively? All comments are welcome, unless they're mean. Don't leave them. But yeah, thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, all that YouTube stuff. We'll see you next time. And again, feel free to share if you enjoyed the video. Thanks. Peace.